Tango 1 at the top, we are at Pop-Up Vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action. Find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple. You're doing the Tango 1 podcast. Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
There we go. Yeah. We try to just start filming because sometimes the best stuff happens before we even start.
100%.
Before we start. Now we're officially on because once he claps, we're officially on. But
all right.
We can go back and do whatever after. But anyways, man, I just want to welcome you to the show and get you introduced here first of all. So everybody, welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm your host, Tony Smith. I'm here to encourage you to do more and be more, take actions on your weaknesses, and we're trying to bring in a bunch of people who can help you guys to motivate you to do so, and this guy is one of them, as we've actually never sat down for a conversation. We've shook hands, we've met a bunch of times, but this is Dean Litster, aka the Professor Zaaa. He is owner and operator of Armando's right here in Amherstburg. You might have seen him on the cover of Canadian Pizza Magazine or the Windsor Star a couple of times. He's an award-winning chef, 2019 Pizza Maker of the Year, 2020 Mr. Ingredient Challenge winner, and 2022 Best Pizza Place in Windsor, and that is 7 years.
Yeah, whenever they do the Windsor Best, 7 years running, like honestly, it's a testament to consistency.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing. I mean, we eat your pizza all the time, and that's what I thought we'd have you on. You're a character on Instagram. That's what I love. I love people that bring you're all in on what you do, and that's like one of the things I love. So this episode, I want to talk to you about like passion, Windsor pizza, because that's been a hot topic for so many years. It's getting even hotter with a new documentary coming out, and just pizza in general, business, whatever. See wherever this kind of takes us. So sharing a couple of, what do we got? Sons of Kent beer today. We always try to stay local on the podcast. And we're getting a little bit out of Essex County, but it's still good beer. So let's talk, man. Let's just start. Use pizza. Like you said something like you started when you were 15 years old.
This is my whole life. I started when I was 15 as like any high school kid would, just like looking for a part-time job, folding some boxes, answering the phones. And I don't know, they're like, do you want to learn how to make pizzas? I was like, yeah, all right. I'll learn how to make pizzas. Why not? And it really, it's still just a job, 15, 16, 17, 18, all those years, just a job. You finish high school. I started going to school at Specs Howard's for radio, TV broadcasting. That was really what I wanted to do.
Well, look at us. Yeah. Here we are, full circle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really what I wanted to do. I was really interested in that field. And I started doing work in that field. I filmed a pilot of a show with a local group, and that was really cool. And at the same time, it's like, hey, we want you to manage the Armandos. Are you interested in that? At that time I was 20. 21. It was a pretty big crossroad, and the deal with the pilot kind of got canceled because A Channel went for sale. Because
A Channel,
it was that A Channel, yeah. So
right,
maybe showing my age a little, but
yeah, all of us in this room understand.
Yeah, so the A Channel goes for sale, so they end up dropping that contract, and it was like pretty much in a day or two making the decision I was going to go and do the TV thing. That's what I always wanted to do. So I decided, okay, maybe this is a sign. I'm just going to lean into pizza. If this is what I'm going to do, I'm going all in. So that was 2021. I started doing a lot of research. What makes pizza better? The dough, the flour, the yeast, the understanding, the complexities that surround all of those things. And the ownership group I worked for saw I was taking a lot of interest in that, and it obviously benefits us mutually to get better at this.
Right.
So they began investing in me a lot and go to different trade shows, sitting on seminars, send me to classes, and I've learned just a wealth of information.
That's great. So when you started, you were with Armando's from day one?
Yeah.
Wow. So, and that place, I feel like it went from, it was a small pizza place to the full dining rooms, and then now they're all over Windsor, Essex County.
When I started with them, there was 3 stores, and that was the main store on Walker, and then you had Dougal, which started as a small takeout location, and then Tecumseh. That's where I started, was in Tecumseh at that little takeout location. That was one of their first kind of attempts at making a franchise. and I worked there, and they saw like, wow, this kid's actually really good. So they sent me over to their main store at Walker, and that's how I worked there for quite a while. And then I ended up working at Cabana for John Pizzo for, gosh, a long time. And together, we worked really hard at building up the brand from 3 stores to 10 stores.
Right. That's kind of when it took, like, when it really started to take notice more than just pizza, I guess, if that was how you describe it. Like, the one at Cabana, that drew a lot of people.
Yeah, they opened up their first dining room there in that plaza where Mazzara is now.
Right.
And, they built that brand new, and that was like a big thing for them, and that's transitioned them into the plaza next door, which created that second giant building of Armando's Cabana. And I was with them for a really long time. And in that process, I partnered with them. We were together working on lots of projects. And, I was the corporate pizza chef for their entire brand. So, like, the kid folding boxes at 15 ends up eventually, overseeing all the pizza operation there, which was pretty cool.
That is awesome. Did you, so obviously you learned a lot about pizza, but you must have learned a shit ton about business.
It's because I was working really closely with John, who's the CEO of the business. So when they go to open a new location, well, I'm there with them, training, hiring, putting everything together. So yeah, I learned things that you couldn't pay for in school. Getting a business degree, you learn the real world ins and outs of dealing with suppliers, contractors, all that stuff. So yeah. I mean, that's a whole animal of its own.
Yeah, what would you say is the biggest struggle? And so Armando's in Amherstburg you're the sole
sole owner. I've owned it for 4 years.
Yeah, so what would you say maybe biggest takeaway from all that mentorship and learning from John, and then learning from probably everybody that you worked with, whether that people you're directing or people you're learning or that are directing you? What do you think is the biggest takeaway, and maybe what's the biggest obstacle you're still presented with?
I'd say the biggest obstacle is money.
Yeah, okay.
Patience, and the ability to not give up. There is so many roadblocks and so many times that you're just like, man, I don't know, this is just getting to be too much, or maybe something gets shorted that you really needed to get that business open in time. And you're always, when the place isn't open, you're in financial crisis mode the whole time because you have no money coming in. You're just using whatever you have. And even when I opened my store here, there was no loan. I opened it with my money from working really hard. So it was yeah, we need to get this place open now because we can't go any longer. And it's just about being able to wrap your head around that and basically working in crisis mode without trying to seem like that's what's going on,
Yeah, trying to seem calm.
Trying to seem calm, because ultimately you're the leader of this group of people. Well, if the leader's off the rails, guess what happens to everybody behind them? Right. So it's I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect. There's always those moments where you lose your cool, but for the most part, you really you got to keep that under wraps, It's hard. It's really hard. Even now, business is still running really great, and it's still these moments of any restaurants, moments of very intense levels of business and things happening all at one time. And you got to find a way to piece that together and keep it moving.
Yeah, I find that for me, it's every time I go to, you're okay, things are good, and then you're oh, I want to make this one next step, and then it's take everything you've got, reinvest it, and here we go again with that time of oh, make it or break it now again.
Yeah.
And then once that smooths up, builds up, and then you start to every time we've expanded this building or opened the other one, that's what that felt is that.
You got to make calculated risks, and ultimately it's a risk. It could always, go bad. But when I look back on a lot of these decisions I made to get here, people from the outside would say, wow, those are some really big chances that you took. You really put it all on the line, where I didn't look at it like that. Looking back on it now, yeah, I guess those were really risky moves, but I looked at it I'm just investing in myself, and I know if I don't give up and if I keep pushing, well, this isn't going to fail. So I never really looked at it well, this is a bad choice because I don't think it's going to work. I was always this is going to be fine.
Right.
If I can make it through a month of this, then I'll be fine after that.
Right. Yeah. And then, and when things don't work how you plan, you just pivot, right?
You just go back to the drawing board, take a look at what didn't work. Why didn't this work? Is it worth pursuing any further, or do we go in a different direction altogether? So like you said, you nailed it. You got to just pivot when things aren't working.
Pivot, the word of the 2 years.
Yeah, the word of the last 2 years.
Pivot, pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so I'm curious to get more into the business stuff, I guess, since the conversation's going this way. So at one point you were partners on, you said 7?
5, 6 locations.
Yeah.
and not just pizza, Mexican things,
Right,
all
you had
sorts of stuff. The taco place.
We were always in the taco place.
Yeah,
My kids
and
loved it.
I helped actually create that brand from nothing with John. It was him and I that kind of had this idea, like, let's build this. And we did, and it was a really cool idea. But sometimes things don't go the way that you
so
want
is
them
that
to.
just not rolling anymore? Like,
I decided to close it. It financially just didn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, it was busy, but the margins didn't align to where I needed them to be. So, you got to just make a choice at some point. Like,
right, just like we were talking downstairs
Yeah.
about you got to sell a lot of tacos, and what are people
Yeah.
willing to pay for tacos, and what you're willing to pay for your.
Yeah.
I mean, I would. I'm gonna say, like, you haven't said this, but I would say you want quality ingredients in your foods.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why we always went there. For
yeah,
tacos.
and
So,
that's
like,
what
now
made that
you're-
food expensive to create. Is
Right, and
I'm not willing to cut any corner. I'm not willing to sell you shittier food. If I'm not going to eat it, I'm not going to be proud to sell it. I'm just not going to sell it, and that's that. And that's how I built my reputation. It's like, if I don't believe in something, I'm just not going to do it. And it's not to say I didn't believe in that brand, because it did have a lot of value and a lot of strength. It just financially didn't make sense for me. So I just decided to, I felt it was taking away from my Armando's location. I have a very small store. It was
Right.
a shared dining room. It was making people who want to eat Armando's not want to eat inside, because you're basically trying to blend fast food dining with like a casual dining. And sometimes those things like don't jive. So I had to make a choice. What do I believe is going to work better for me financially and also create a more efficient kitchen? Well, that's why I went Armando's, because I felt like we could lean heavier into what we were really known for, which was pizza. And that's something that I really excel in. So
Right,
I
leaning
decided
into your strengths, plant
Yeah.
your flag and go. Right, like sometimes, like I think you hit the nail on the head. Is like, there's great ideas and great opportunities in business, which sometimes turn into bigger distractions than they are opportunities. Like that's what we found downstairs with that, with the smoothie bar. It was like, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here, and sales are easy, profit is hard.
Yeah.
So making the sales of smoothies was not hard at all. But then there's the profits. There's also like behind that for me was, now I'm going to the grocery store to get
Yeah.
berries and freaking milk, and like I didn't open this place to go grocery shopping. Like I opened this place to get people jacked. Right now, that's kind of like where we were too. It's like, yeah, we either have to go all in on this and like invest some serious time and effort to make it bigger, or it's time to like lean into what we want to do and
Yeah.
what honestly what the passion is, which
Yeah.
is that, right?
Yeah. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with just going, I think this just might not be working how I want it to be. It's like you said, the opportunity was good. The idea was great. The food was great. But I had to make a choice. What do I really want to do here? And it was like, let's just sell pizza, because we're really good at that. And that's what transitioned us into doing Detroit Sundays. So we
Yeah, that's one
continued
of my
with
questions.
tacos,
Go.
there would be no Detroits. So you have to like now.
And there would be no conversation right now.
Well, I know that you love the tacos. You were always in for them, but now I know you're in for Detroits all the time.
I
So
love
see,
the
I
Detroit
transitioned to you.
pizzas. I love the Detroit pizzas. Like, let's talk about Detroit before we talk about Windsor then.
Sure.
Maybe. Like, so the Detroit pizzas, everybody's heard of the Chicago pizzas. I'm not a huge fan of the Chicago pizza, believe it or not. But the Detroit pizza, like a little bit. Like, tell us, where does that even come from? And I know that's big marketing for you right now because it's such a great product.
Yeah.
People I heard about it, not through your social media. I heard it through just members here saying like, because
Yeah, I know some of your members buy pizza from me. I see.
Oh
them a
yeah,
lot.
I mean, I love pizza. We promote here, like, live a little. Like, we don't want you to
Yeah.
eat chicken and rice every day.
Yeah.
And they're like, you haven't heard of this Detroit pizza? I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, the guy that Professor Zaaa guy. I'm like, what are you talking about? So anyway, what's the kind of the history behind that? And like,
It's Detroit pizza started in Detroit, obviously, and it came from I don't know the exact year around it forming, but I know that pan it's made in, which is traditionally a blue steel pan, came from the motor part company. And a guy just like me, so first off, I love pan pizza, excluding Chicago. It's too much pizza. It's just not right. It's like a lasagna.
It's lasagna,
Yeah,
man.
it's like casserole pizza. It doesn't work for me. But I love pan pizza. There's a large variety of pan pizzas that aren't just deep dishes, but I'm not going to get into that. So whenever I'm out and I see a pan, I'm like, shit, I want to make a pizza in that. Like, I'd make a really nice pizza. So I imagine the person working at the car plant's like, hey, that's a really cool pan. I'm going to make a pizza in that. And that's pretty much how Detroit pizza started. And so there's lots of different Detroit pizza places. I've eaten at all of them. They're all really, really great. I prefer Jet's pizza. That's the one that I like most. It's tall, fluffy, crisp on the bottom, and I pretty much now just described exactly how mine aligns. Tall, fluffy, crisp on the bottom, cheese walls that make the crust.
Yes,
and
that is
then
a key.
I like to get, if you've been ordering or see my Instagram, I like to get wild. We're not just making pepperoni pizzas. I like to get a little wild over there. So that's what I like. And that was my whole goal of Detroit Sunday. It started in that January where we were in a deep COVID lockdown, and I felt like this is the best opportunity because people are looking for something to do. They will get in their cars and drive from just about anywhere to eat something cool because there's literally nothing to do. So I was like, okay, we'll start selling 50 of them on Sunday. We'll just see how that goes because I bought 50 pans. These pans and lids are extremely expensive, okay? Like a pan lid combination is $50 US. So I own now 75 of them. So I started with 50 and I was like, 50? Yeah, that'll be fine. We start taking orders at 11 a.m. By 11:20, we're sold out. I'm like, okay, this is going to be maybe a bigger thing than I thought it was. Following Sunday, sold out in 15 minutes for 50 pizzas again. I'm like, okay, we got to buy more pans. Like now,
We need more pans.
We need more pans.
Well, and how come you need because it takes so long? Is
Yeah.
that why you need to have, like...
Basically, Detroit Sunday starts Friday. We make the dough Friday because it's a special dough. It needs to sit for an extra day. It helps build a lot of flavor in the dough through fermentation. So we let that sit. On Saturday, I have to grease all the pans before I can go home. So that's, add another 30 minutes plus maybe another hour or so to do your elaborate prep that's for that pizzas only. And then on Sunday, we're in there early, 9:30, because you have to set the dough up because it needs to rise for at least 3 or 4 hours before you can even sell one of them. But basically, if you ordered a pizza for 6 o'clock, that dough's been in that pan since 9:30 a.m. rising, getting pressed down a couple times so it gets multiple stages of rising, builds more complex flavor, creates more digestibility because it breaks down more of the gluten inside the dough. There's actually like a lot of science behind it. Like it gets really, really deep, and that's what makes that pizza special, is that it's not like I just threw some stuff together and said, I hope this works out. It's very well thought out. It's no different than your gym and how you work out on routines. It's a very set, scheduled routine. This is how we do it. We start Friday, you do this Saturday, you do this on Sunday, and on Sunday, I manage that dough all day long. You have to take the pans, you have to press them all down. So now we're making 75 a week, like on one day, 75. And that's like an additional, all that extra work for that day. But like, I love it. It gives me a huge creative outlet, which is what I really needed.
Yeah, that's the kind of cool part I like about like what you do in particular, and following you on Instagram and loving like your little stories and your reels is like you really put a lot of thought into what your Sunday Detroit pizzas are gonna be, right? Like,
yeah.
You have a lot of great pizzas. We order your pizza all the time before too.
Yeah,
I just love that. I've always loved the Armando's pizza, but now you're doing this and you're like this. You're releasing like this is, and you do it what, monthly?
Yeah, a monthly menu. And that's the best part. It keeps you so engaged. It doesn't matter if you've had the pizza. Well, because they change every month and they're all different. And yeah, I love it. And you very seldomly do we even bring the same pizza back. So it's like every month new pizzas constantly. But there's a fan favorite always. It's the chicken bacon ranch. That one's been back probably like 5 times now.
That one is good.
And every time it hits the menu, I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna sell so many of these this month.
I had a spicy one recently. It was delicious. Oh man, what one was it? Pepperoni with hot peppers and
maybe Dragon's Breath.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good pizza.
It was good, man. It was like it cleared me out, cleared my
Perfect.
sinuses. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing, and I love that you're like that. I think reintroducing that menu. I know even my kids get excited for it. We're like, oh, what are the new pizzas that are coming out right in there?
If I don't release it on time on Thursday, my DMs start filling up with like, where's the menu? We're waiting for your menu. Hey guy, where's the menu? And that's the thing is, if you DM me about anything, I'll pretty much answer always. Like, I got nothing better to do. If I'm busy, I won't answer. But if I'm not, I'll love taking the time to talk with people. So people all the time like, where's the menu at, man? We want that menu.
So how do you go about, if it's like this big process to make this, how do you go about like figuring out that menu or your ingredients or what you're gonna do? Do you just like...
It's a lot of times, like, obviously social media is a huge tool. I use
Right.
it as well, and I
Yeah.
connect with pizza makers, owners, like you name it, across the world. We follow each other. I see what they're doing. They see what I'm doing. Kind of just like feed off each other. I'm like, oh man, that guy kind of made a pretty cool pizza. I want to put my kind of take on that, or I'll make it. Be like, oh man, that was really good, but now I'm gonna make this move to it. Like just stuff like that. Or a lot of times it's as simple as just walking through the grocery store. There's a couple stores I really like to hit, and because I always carry unique stuff, and you just see something that catches your eye. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can make something surrounding that. That's no problem. Like the purple potato is probably my favorite thing to catch at the store because I'm like, oh man, I can make a really cool pizza with that. But then this is the part, is like, I've only been out here 2 years. People, you got to gain a lot of trust to be able to get people to buy your weird pizzas. So
Yeah.
even though a purple potato tastes like a potato, it just doesn't look right. So people are kind of stay away from it a little bit. But now that we're rolling 2 years strong on this, like, people got a lot more trust now.
Yeah, and the beauty, like, of being in Amherstburg, just outside of Windsor, but like Amherstburg is like Amherstburg. Like, we really, people here, when they believe in you,
Oh yeah.
they come back and they tell everybody. Like advertising at the garage is not really a thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's referrals. It's all word of mouth. Once you build that here, people want to stay here. And people don't like to go to Windsor to get anything, really. Like, I know when I get, it's like, I'm going to the city. What do you need? Like,
The big city. We're making the trip.
Yeah, but meanwhile, I used to go there every day to work, right? Spend every single day there.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny how that is here. So
It's small town vibe. And like, I've worked in other small towns. Like I opened the Armando's in Essex, and it was the same thing. It's just small town. Word of mouth is huge. And that's why you got to take care of people. It's really, really important. So
yeah, and Amherstburg in particular seems to have a lot of pizza places and good pizza here. Like,
it's true.
Moving here, like, from LaSalle, where LaSalle's kind of a pass through, like I call it a pass through town, right?
Yeah.
But I was always working in Windsor. One of the best parts about being a cop was like exposed to so many different foods.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly at different places, whether
Yeah.
it's alarms or calls or whatever. You get to expose to so many. And Windsor's got so many great ones. Then you come to Amherstburg, we got so much great stuff here. And we had that Pizza V left too. They were awesome too. There were so many. There's got to be 6 or 7 here at one point.
Yeah.
Which is unreal. And plenty, like, I don't know, the way I see it, it's like, I don't really see it as competition. It just brings more people looking for your product.
It's just different pizza
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And, it's a Windsor thing, having this many pizza places and small, because you even know it. It's not like we're surrounded by all these big names. It's just that local chains. And, that's a huge part of Windsor pizza.
Yeah.
Is like, people in Windsor love their pizza, but they love their brand of pizza. Like, if you were an Armando's family, you don't eat other pizza. Same like if you're a Capri family, you don't eat other pizza. My dad, when he was like, I work at Armando's, my dad ordered from Armando's when he was a kid. And like, he was part of the Armando's family, right? So
Yeah.
we don't eat other pizza. That's just how it always worked.
That's hilarious.
It's the same thing here. You got your favorite. It's to make you venture away from the one you ordered from your whole life. Something bad had to happen, right? Like, something happened there, because
Yeah.
people don't venture away from that. Like, that's their comfort zone.
Not often, right? Yeah, it's so true. But I find it funny. Like, I have a family that's moved away, and they're like, when they come back, that's the first thing they
Yeah.
want off the plane. And you're right, it's their pizza that they want, which is not necessarily like. And I know my aunt and uncle, they come back and they want Arcadas, and I've really only been to Arcadas maybe once. Like, that's just because it's not my neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny how people are like, that's our pizza,
Yeah,
like,
and, like,
our families.
My dad lived near the Walker Armando's. That's why they ordered from there. Like, that's the sole reason it was the pizza they ordered. It was just their neighborhood pizza.
So what do you think, like, separates, like, actually, while we're talking about neighborhoods, like, let's talk about our sponsors, the Murray family, who just crushed the 6-week transformation here at the Garage Gym. They are a one-stop shop for insurance. Desjardins, #1 ranked Ontario insurance, and they provide everything you want for your community. They are hire homegrown. They support all community events, and they are a perfect spot for you to go get your car, home, and any kind of financial insurance you're looking for. So give them a shout. Tell them Tango One sent you, and appreciate their support at all times. So we're talking about, like, community and Windsor being its thing, and Windsor pizza is like, I thought this documentary came out already. I was researching it.
It's tricky.
Yeah, it's
doing
around.
the basically the film festival tour through the States and
Very
through
cool.
Canada. So, like, the surroundings of that area, it's not really, I don't really know what these rules are, but, like, for some reason maybe you can't have it anywhere else. It's just doing this tour. So the only way you were able to see it as of right now was if you got a chance to see the screening that happened near Christmas. So there was Saturday, Sunday, they did like 2 or 3 showings each day, and it was sold out every single day. And it's like, maybe only a few hundred people got to see it.
Right.
But I got to go to the premiere, and that was the first time I saw it. Like, everybody always asked me all these questions about it. I'm like, honestly, up until that day, I had never seen anything other than what anybody else had access to see.
And what's it called?
It's called the Pizza City You've Never Heard of.
Pizza City You've Never Heard of.
Yeah.
And there's a great trailer on YouTube. You can watch it. I think it's George Kavilas.
George Kalifas.
George Kalifas.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
might be
and
saying
you're
that
in
very
it, right?
poorly. I'm sorry.
You're
yes,
in
but
it?
I'm in it. Yes.
Yes.
It's actually a really well put together documentary. They tell our story like so well, and it was really, really cool to see it actually play out. And yeah, it was pretty special. I know that in September it's going to come out on a streaming platform available to all, but I cannot elaborate any further.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So what do you think, though, that separates, what do you think makes Windsor such a special city for pizza?
Well,
like you've been doing this a long fucking time.
If you look at where some of the best pizza in North America comes from, it's, New York is always really well known. And then when you look back to Windsor, the big two things that we have in common is the quality of water. And that's really, Windsor has very high quality water. And that's part of what makes our dough so good. It makes our sauce taste the way that it does.
Really?
And that's a big factor. And in New York, same thing. Very, very high quality water. When we go do competitions in Vegas, you cannot make pizza dough with water in Las Vegas. You have to use bottled water or bring your own with you. The water there is too hard.
Are you serious?
It's too hard. It doesn't make good dough. It's just that simple. So when we go and compete, you do one of two things. You pack water in your suitcase and bring it with you, or you just go and buy bottled water from the grocery store and just move on.
So you get on the airplane, like you go to check your bags and all.
Oh, well, when I go to Vegas, the first time we went, yes, I had dough in my suitcase, bags of flour, like it was a thing. The second year I went, I got a little smarter. You just loaded a cooler and wrapped it with saran wrap and made it a piece of checked luggage. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
Just that's my piece of luggage today, is that cooler. So we got smarter as we kept doing that thing.
So what's Vegas? What are you heading down to Vegas for all the time, other than fun?
Well, the pizza competition. That's what
where
goes
it is.
on. It's in Vegas, the pizza competition. That's the biggest one in North America. And people will come from all over the world for that one. The only other one that's bigger than that's in Italy. And I mean, I've never had the opportunity to travel to that one yet, but I can see it in the future for
It's on
me.
the bucket list?
100%. Because I wanted to go to Vegas again this year. Just the timing still just wasn't right. So I feel like next year will probably be a much better situation.
Nice. So this is the one where you came in with, was it third or fourth?
That one we placed third in 2014 with a Windsor pizza. It was the same everything, like the dough, the sauce, the cheese, the pepperoni, the canned mushrooms. And it was in the traditional division, which is the hardest division in the competition. There's a list of about 10 toppings. You're only allowed to use 2. And if you say mushrooms, you can use any mushroom you want and as many of them as you want. So we present our shredded pepperoni canned mushroom. The first leg of that is regional heats. There's 8 of them. So we're in the international division. That means we're competing not just against Canadians, but against Italians and everyone else from around the world. And you have to win your heat to get to the final 8. So we win that one. We win the heat, which is a blind tasting. You don't even get to present the pizza. You just give it to someone who walks it behind a curtain, which I think is actually like really cool. You didn't even have a chance to sell the pizza.
Right.
You just gave it to them and they loved it. Then you have to compete the following day in the final 8, where it's a live competition where there's like, it's actually pretty cool. There's like stadium seating. There's like cameras pointing down, watching your hands work. It's a really cool scene. So that one, the judges are like, we're really confused here. You could pick any mushroom you wanted. You went with canned. Like, you gotta explain this to us. And it's the same reason Windsor has canned mushrooms. There was no mushroom farms in this area when pizza started. So they use canned mushrooms and it just stuck. Like, if you're from Windsor, you're eating canned mushrooms on your pizza. You don't want fresh mushrooms.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're from Toronto and you live here, you want fresh mushrooms on your pizza. Okay? If you're from Windsor, you don't want that. You want the canned. So yeah, we placed third in that, and that was pretty impressive because like people are like just shook. They're looking at this, so like they've never even heard of a canned mushroom on a pizza. Like, why would you do that? Like, it was like blasphemy. And we placed third, so that was like super cool. And that was more of like a team setting. Only one person can actually make the pizza, and we were all making pizzas in different categories.
Okay.
So like one guy made that pizza, but as the team, we all made the different things that made it up for him. So that was super cool for us.
And how do you get like paired off on a team? Is this like a bunch of dudes?
Oh no, it was us. It was Armando's. Like,
okay.
It was just Armando's.
Oh, that is amazing.
We went there as a group, right? So that particular year, we placed 5th in pan, 4th in Italian, 3rd in traditional, 2nd in gluten free. Like, and all these people are like, who the hell are these guys from Armando's? Windsor? Where's Windsor? What is that place? Like, a bunch of unknowns just like came in and made some noise. So that was like really cool.
That is awesome.
That kind of like really got the ball rolling even harder. Like, if I wasn't already invested in doing this, it like got crazy. That's when the pizza tattoos started to appear. and that's like when I was like, that's it. Like, if I wasn't 100% in now it's 1,000%. And like, then I just kept pushing harder because I'm like, now the goal is I need to win this. I need to win that Vegas competition. So the closest I've gotten on my own is 4th. And even the difference between 4th and 2nd was 1/10 of a point. So like, I was just like banging right on the door. And that was
Did you get to taste those pizzas that beat you?
Oh yeah, you can always taste them. And this is the thing about competing. It's like, it doesn't matter what I made.
Right.
Everybody's bringing their absolute best pizza. It's just what those 5 people sitting there decide they like that day. And it really comes down to that. And I judged the Canadian competition the year after we placed 3rd. So I was going into that event going, I'm going to get so much insight on how to compete better. I'm going to understand this. No, I sat next to the person next to me who somebody like explained the pizza, how it was like this big Sicilian pizza. The guy's like, well, I'm Sicilian. This pizza's got a lot to live up to now. So that's what made me realize, like, oh shit, it means nothing what I bring. It's like, does that guy think it's really good? Because that guy could think whatever he wants. So that's when I was like, oh man, it doesn't even matter what you make anymore. You've got to just go there, put the best item on the table, know that it was the best thing you could make, and hope today's your day. Like, that's pretty much all it came down to.
Oh, you know, why is it? What's with the shredded pepperoni? Why is that a Windsor thing?
The way that the person who actually created that was the guy who started Volcano Pizza, which was the original Windsor pizza. That's where Windsor pizza started, was at Volcano Pizza. And it's because he didn't want to put the round things all over. It's too much work. So he shredded it. That's it.
That works smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
That's why. That's
I'll tell
the
you what,
industrious Windsor way right there.
I make pizza with both round and shredded.
Yeah.
And it's a real pain in the ass to make the pizza with round pepperonis. It takes way longer. With shredded, I'm just like in the oven. Away we go. With the rounds, you're like
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
But see, I like to. That's where I transition things. I obviously make traditional Windsor pizza. I started to put my own twist on it, so I use both shredded and round. My pepperoni paradise has both on it, as well as the crispy pepperonis afterwards on the end. Like, I try to take classics and twist them up my way. You know, that's always what I've tried to do. Make myself unique and stand out, and I think it's starting to work because people seem to recognize that. So
yeah, for sure, they're recognizing. Man, like, I think like you could pump some of this stuff out more that we don't even like. I did not know until I got your like bio. Like, I just thought you were a cool guy and you make great pizza. I knew you won some awards, but I didn't know like the length at which like going to Vegas and like.
We've been to Vegas. I've
you know,
competed
since
there
you're
probably
15.
4 or 5 times, and I've competed in Toronto probably 6 or 7 times before I actually won. And it was like a lot of 8th place, 10th place. I'd go there with 2 pizzas. I'd bring another person with me. You're making the 2nd pizza. They tied. Identical score for 8th place. I'm like, how is this even possible? I can't get past 8th place in this Canadian competition. What is going on here? So I went home and that was it. I had to change the whole game. That's when I started creating different styles of dough. And I invented what I call a Windsor style deep dish, which is like a hybrid of a Sicilian and a grandma style. Again, there's millions of types of deep dish pizza, so I wanted to do something special. That one's a 4-day fermentation, multiple stages, special flour from Italy, like very special pizza. And I don't make it very much right now because like we're so busy just making all these other things that I've kind of let it slide by the wayside. But I'll tell you what, I made a test batch of that dough about 2 weeks ago to make sure I still had it in the cards there. And I was like, holy shit, man, this pizza. I like literally took a bite and I was like, I gotta leave for a couple minutes here, guys. This is just something else. And I like made it for all the staff, and they're eating it and they're like, what is this? And it literally was a very simple pizza because it doesn't have to be fancy. It's the dough. The dough has so much flavor that you've just never tasted anything like it. And when I made that pizza in the Canadian competition, the judges said the same thing. They were like, we have never tasted dough like this. And it's it's more artisanal style. When you hold a cross section, you can almost see through it. The holes are so big and the gluten structure is so strong. And that's a dough I'm super proud of. And it took me about a year to get it down just right. And then when we were doing the pizza bar in Cabana, that was right before COVID. We opened it probably a year before COVID. And we were selling 5 styles of pizza with 4 different types of dough. My life was consumed by making dough from morning to night. You go in the back fridge, because it's a 4-day fermentation. So now you have 4 batches in there, all dated different days, like organized, sorted. It was a real thing.
And this is why they call you the professor.
Yeah.
So anybody who's watching this on YouTube, you'll appreciate what I'm talking about. Those listening, like his hands are going by his head. He's like, you can see the formulas. Like, like we should have like Herb animating like these formulas over his head, like as he describes this. But the coolest part about doing this podcast, is when you hit the button on somebody's passion, you see like the eyes light up, get taller in the chair, and the way the expression
we could
changes.
talk about pizza all day if you want. I'm down for it.
It's the coolest thing, man. Yeah. So, well, my funny is my sons, I told you they look forward to your thing. They're 9 and 7. But my 7-year-old has a restaurant in his room called Chez Braun. Okay. So he's got like he's got kitchen, everything. They bought him. He's got the apron. He's got the pizza hat. And his older brother works for him. Okay. And they come, every time somebody comes over, they ask what they want. They go up, pretend to make it. He fires his brother left and right.
Yeah, that happens.
He doesn't have good service. But just curious if like, like when you were younger, one, were you like this? And like, I guess the two-part question is like, are you so wrapped up in pizza because it is a way of life for you and it's like your business and your passion? Do you get to experience much else in culinary? Like, do you like dabble in making, I don't know, like burgers or pancakes? Is there anything else that you like really like to cook?
Well, yeah, I love food of all kinds.
So kitchen's like your place, regardless of pizza or not.
100%. And all the food we sell in Amherstburg, I know I'm known for pizza, but I try to tell people like, yes, I also do know how to cook other things too. And so all the food there, those are all like from my mind as well. The fried chicken sandwiches. I love making sauces. So we have a green goddess sauce and it's, fresh herbs and all these really nice things. We make that creamy garlic. We're making the ranch. Everybody's going crazy for the ranch. Now we're making sriracha ranch, vegan ranch, like you name it. I'm into making stuff. I just love it. And it's the same thing. It's just that passion of food. And, I didn't really love to cook when I was younger. I just can always remember like my grandma was always in the kitchen cooking. And, it's an Italian family. Like I'm, part Italian. So that side of my family that I was really close with was the Italian side. And it was always about eating together and food and, making those connections around that. And it kind of, I don't believe that's why I went the food route. But now that I'm here, I look back on a lot of that and like, wow, that's actually like pretty cool. It kind of came full circle. And, I have all my grandma's pots and pans and I keep those and I keep them in my kitchen. I still use them because obviously grandmas have the best stuff to begin with. So like that stuff outlived her. It'll probably outlive me too. So
like I for sure, for me, kitchen, like I've always cooked with my mom. I cooked with my Nona, like having the she had the huge pizza pan. It was massive, my Nona's, because the whole family would be there, and it was like a big deal when she'd be making pizza. Yeah, like, and it was always a big deal everything she cooked, and that's so interesting to hear you say
like,
that.
Pizza wasn't a part of my family's food though. Like grandma never made pizza. Like that wasn't it was, and that's what I find kind of interesting. Is like pizza is like I found my way over here. And once I found my spot here, when you do it for a long time, when you do the same job for a long time, you just get good at it. So now it's like, it's easy for me to do this job. Not easy per se, but it's easy. You just know how to do it. You know what to do. You just get it done. So I just love being in this space now. So it's pretty cool.
Our go-to at your place, outside of pizza, is what we always order with our pizza. Actually, is your goat cheese salad. That thing is the fucking best salad, man. I love that thing.
Yeah, that's a good salad.
I love it. And that is always, I think I've been ordering that for 10 years from
that was like an Armando staple.
Was near my house, right?
Yeah, that started a long time ago with them. And that's something that really has not changed much. And it's like when something's not broken, you don't fix it. You leave that alone. That's a really good selling product.
Yeah, man, for sure. So what's the gutsiest pizza? Like that's like the one where you like, I don't know, I'm gonna put this one out there. Like might have surprised you with its success.
Oh, I definitely made like a coney dog pizza with hot dogs on it, and
really?
And it's like it's for see your face right away. You're like, really? And it's like, yeah, because you need to eat it because you're gonna take a bite, and if you didn't really like hot dogs, you're gonna hate yourself because of how much you love this pizza. And like that's what always happens. A lot of the inspiration is I worked with a really classic German chef, like probably one of the best chefs I ever worked with, and he was the chef that worked in the building I was with, and I always loved to push his buttons by making weird shit. So. You would make, when I first created the banana pepper puree for a pizza, he's like, if you want the banana peppers, you put them on the pizza. You don't put the sauce, you put them on. And I laughed and I was like, whatever, dude, you're going to see what's up. So I like put it on. He's like, okay, now I understand why it's okay. And it was always stuff like that. So hot dogs on a pizza, blasphemy. I made a Cubano pizza with a mustard bechamel. I'm pretty sure smoke was coming out of his ears watching me squirt French's yellow mustard into a classic bechamel sauce. So it was always just stuff like that. It was more to like irritate the chef, but then be like, oh, wait a sec. That's actually really good. And we got to keep doing stuff like that. So like, I don't know. I just like to push the boundaries. It's more fun that way. And when I worked in Windsor, it was easier to sell that stuff. People knew me, a lot of trust. Out here, the trust is building now, where now they trust. They'll buy the weird things because they know, yeah, it's probably going to work out. Because it's all just about balance anyways. So like that's why I'm always like, it doesn't really matter what's on the pizza. If you hit all of the flavor notes, then it doesn't matter. Like you just need the senses of flavor. It doesn't matter really what they are. That's why I love fruit on the pizza. You still need sweet to complement the spicy and the savory and the earthy. So if you touch on all those things, well, that's how you create the perfect bite. So when you get that one bite, you're like, oh shit, if it's perfect, you can't stop eating it.
And you want every bite to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
You want that balance. And I know when you see the pizzas I make, you're always like, they look, doesn't matter how busy it is, they always look the same. Very well balanced, everything, and so you get a perfect bite. That's just how I do it. Like, it's from years and years and years of experience of doing that. And that's what makes those pizzas so good. It's some other places, like maybe 3 slices won't have mushrooms on it, or maybe a couple pieces will be missing that. It's like, no, mine's good. Edge to edge. It's always got that perfect start to finish, perfect bites.
so how do you then, like, let's shift more into like business and team building, because this is I mean, one thing is, I'm sure a lot of employees, you've had to like hire, probably fire a lot of people, and how do you now get that excellence that you're looking for, the edge to edge perfect bite, to go down all the way through to the 15-year-old you know, that you've just hired? How do you get that message across? And
No, it's awesome that you asked that, because that's the next part. That's the next part is, yeah, I'm busy, but I can't do everything myself.
Right.
So you have to build a team. And honestly, I work at my store 5 days a week, almost open to close every day. I'm shoulder to shoulder with you. We're always going to work next to each other, and I'm going to inspire you to be the best you can be too. And, you know, I'm going to show you how to achieve success by building a great system with high levels of efficiency. So once you've done those things, it's not so hard to find people, because you're not really looking for anybody anymore. You build a great team, but it comes through hiring. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not super great at that part of the job. I will hire pretty much anyone who walks through the door, because I always feel like talk's cheap. Great talkers are sometimes the worst workers. And sometimes the guy who can't communicate to you well about himself is the best worker. So you basically, it's like anything in life, you're just taking a chance on people, and you just have to create a really great environment for them to thrive in. And you'll find out very quickly whether that person's going to work or not. Because if I got a great system that shows you exactly what you need to do with a great team of employees and a good positive environment, and you can't make it work still, well, I'll give you a couple shots. I know it's not a one size fits all, so I'm really good at being like, well, communicating it to them like, this didn't work, so let me try something different. I'm gonna think about it. And like you said, my life is wrapped up in this. So like, I go home, I still think about it. It's not like I just turn off. Like, hey, something's not working with this person. What can I do to help it click? It's really just, you know, I've worked in a lot of different Armandos, and I've worked in a lot of places, and you know, the environments have been good, but I've always felt like there's more that you can do. And that's why here I feel like I've tried to create an environment that I would want to be in. So it's the best one that you can find. I treat my guys really well. If there's a problem, we talk about it. If they're doing a good job, we talk about it. Like, it's not negative. I'll tell you the bad, but I'll tell you the good. I keep my guys close with me. I treat them well. I pay them well. I let them know I'm there to help them. If you have a problem personally, we can talk about it. Let me try to help you. Can't make it into work today because you're having family issues? No problem. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I'm a person. I'm understanding. That's how you build the team. Like, I don't look for people. My turnover's so low. People don't leave. When you come in, you're not leaving, because if you've worked in a lot of kitchens, once you get through this door, you're just like, holy shit, how come other places can't be like this? And I'm the boss. I don't answer to anybody. So I'm not like trying to make someone above me happy anymore, right? I'm making myself happy.
yes,
I answer to myself. I try to make my team happy. I listen to what they have to say. I'm not afraid to change my system if I think that something's not right. If someone has a suggestion, they think it can maybe tweaked in this direction, you know, I won't make that instant choice. I'll go home, I'll think about it, I'll talk with my partner about it, and just try to keep pivoting. It's not like this, and that's like we talked about. It's not like you open and you're like, this is it, set in stone. Right. This is how she runs. You don't like it, there's the door. It slowly evolves over time. Like, I've changed over time. As people, we change. You shouldn't be the same person your whole life. You should always be growing, and that means that the business grows and your needs grow, and you just find a way to keep making it work.
Yeah, man, I agree. Yesterday was awesome for us because we had like 4 people that have, like, you know, moved on to become police officers, and one's in chiropractic school, firemen. They're all here. They're all back. So there's all these people that currently worked for us or did work for us and now still work for us, all in one room. And that, like what you said there, it hits the nail on the head with that, is like culture, man. They're like, once you've grown that culture and you now have those 3 or 4 or 5 people around you that also live and breathe that culture, like this is how we do it here. You don't really hire and fire that often.
Exactly.
And when you do, you fire quick because it's very clear that person isn't going to make.
Yeah. I brought in a new cook, and the next day I let him go. And my partner's like, that quick? I'm like, it's not going to work. There's no sense. Like, it's not going to work. I can see it. It's just not going to work.
Of our time.
And it's not to be it's not to be like cold-hearted or anything about it. It's like, it's very much, this is business, and I can tell you right away, if it's not going to work, I'm not going to push forward. If I can see, hey, I think maybe we can tweak it. It can. If you didn't work out after the first day, there's something there. So
yeah, and I mean, dudes like you and I, it's like, it's business, but it's our family. Like you said, you are at your business from morning to night, so it's like your family, and like, and you literally, like, we know going through a couple industries got hammered by the COVID rules, that like, it's family that kept us together. Yeah. Right. So family goes to that person who orders every Sunday from you, to the person that comes in here 3 times a week working out. They're like extended family, and if we all feel that way, we stick together through the good and the bad and produce. When things are good, you fucking produce. Like,
and even in my line of work, like, that's the thing, is turnover might be low, but like in a restaurant like that, that's not many people's permanent place. It's a stopping ground. You work through school, whatever it may be. So that's the only time that I really make moves. And when the person has to leave, honestly, you know, I think, like, as a person, maybe you and I, like, I'm hard on myself. I can never sometimes see how good things are, because I'm always, you see the one negative thing, or, you know, you're stuck sometimes because you're in it every day. You're not zoomed out. You're literally in the shit every day. An employee's like, oh man, I'm moving to London for school, and like, I really don't want to leave. This is the best job I've ever had. Like, I really love working here. I always want to be here. And like, sometimes those are like, oh wow, I guess I didn't give it that much thought. This really is that place. And one of the other kids, he's been working for me for 2 years. He's 18. His mom, they order every Friday. His mom comes in. I shoot the shit with her every Friday. She's super nice. She's like, yeah, if we tell him he needs to take a day off for a family thing, he's like, no, I want to go there. I want to go to work today. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like,
man.
All right. And even on Saturday that just passed, 3 employees that had like gone on to do different things, well, they all came and ordered food, like in like big orders of food. And I'm like, oh, you must have liked working here then. That's cool. Like, you still come here and buy stuff from me. Thanks.
And I mean,
I love the support.
It makes you feel good that you're sending these young people off with something. Like, you sent them off with, somehow set them up, whether it's how they talk to a customer, or how they communicate in that kitchen, which I mean, all my experience comes from reading Kitchen Confidential, but like,
there's not that much shouting in my kitchen, to be honest.
You know, like,
and it's very much under control, and I like the environment because I do work with a lot of younger people, and I think it's important to create a positive environment for them, because it's not appropriate for 15 and 16 and 17-year-old kids to sometimes hear that kitchen banter that would go on that you've heard of in the past. Like, my spot's not like that, man. Like, and I tell the older people, I'm like, these guys are kids, eh? We have to help mold them here. Like, it's very, very important what we're trying to do here. And like, I have a girl that's 15, just started working for me, and I was like, why do you want a job? You're 15. Like, this doesn't make sense. You don't need a job. I really just want to, you know, start getting ahead. Like, I look at her resume, this girl's honor roll, like all these awards in all these different categories, and I was like, yeah, this is going to actually make a really good employee. And she's been working for me for probably 2 months. Awesome. Like, for a 15-year-old kid's first job, like, awesome. Like, just knocks it out of the park. And that comes from the cultures. Like, the older kids that are 18 and 19 are training her on how to do the job, and everybody's happy to be there. So they're always like, you come to my store, staff's always happy. It's not fake. How many times you go somewhere, the staff looks all bent out of shape about something?
No, that is very true. That is very true. We always go in. Even the guy who delivered the pizza the other day, like, you know,
they're all happy guys at my spot.
My kids are playing basketball in the backyard, and they talking to him and like, hey guys, how you doing? Like, it's not, you know, it's not just a transaction, and that's what you want as like a small business owner. You're like, we're not making transactions, we're making connections, and
it comes from that culture. And it's like, these guys are happy. They're happy to support. They know they're helping me by doing a great job for me, and they like working for me. And it's like this big revolving thing. I give my guys monthly bonuses, and like tell you did a great job every month, and like shake your hand and tell you I really value your position with me. And like, who goes out of their way to do that for people? Sometimes it's just little things, right? And that's what helps really solidify them. And it's like, you bring all that together, and then you still take really good care of them on top of that. So I have a manager that works for me right now, probably one of the best people I've had work for me in a really, really long time. And like with her, I'm like, if something's ever not good, just talk to me, because you're the last person I want to leave. So
yeah, clarity prevents resent. We talk about that all the time in here. If there's something, even if it was something small said in passing, and it's bugging you, get it out. Because one, it might be how you received it. It might have no intent behind it. Yeah. You know, like, let's just get it out, because like, Irv, you hear me say it all the time, like, people issues are 911. Like, so if there's any kind of people issue, we got to handle it right away, because those things fester real quick.
Exactly.
Right?
And there's nothing worse than being resentful of somebody when it could have just been a really quick conversation to sort it out. Yeah. You know? And if you couldn't sort it out with the conversation, well, maybe there's something else to work on there. But
Right, exactly.
for the most part, like, people are like, we're all humans. We all have this very similar personality types, no matter what. Like, very easy to sort things out together as long as people just have open minds.
Yeah, very good. So tattoos. The tattoos always tell a story. I know mine go up and down.
Pizza.
Pizza. Who does all your work?
Aaron James.
James.
He's done both of my sleeves, and he specializes in the pizza at this point. Now, the elbow is the newest one to seal the deal.
Yeah, I got Pete Bailey specializing in weapons and swear words.
Okay.
So
hey, everybody's got to have a thing.
Everybody's got. It's just like it's just like the pizza world.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a guy. Right?
Everyone's got to be good at something.
Yeah, everybody's got to be good at something, and every person who has tattoos usually has their person that they're very loyal to.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny.
When you like the way they work, you know the way that the work's gonna finish. Well, I don't want to try anything else. I'm happy with this, and like I'm a loyal person. I'm loyal to my suppliers. I'm loyal to pretty much everybody, and that loyalty pays off in the long run, big time.
Yeah, and so you being an artist, I mean, chefs are an artist per se. Do you go in? I know I'm like, people think I'm weird like this, but I just give them an idea and I say, no, I want you to do it.
That's hilarious because I do the same thing.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm like, artist, I'm always like, I want the pizza spider web tattoo. He's like, okay, what do you want it to look like? I'm like, whatever. I'm like, you know what's gonna look best. I just want a pizza spider web tattoo. The rest is on you.
Yeah, that's how I roll too, man. I think it's the best. Like, I'm just like, yeah, go with it. Let me see what you got, obviously, and we're gonna see where it goes, and make that decision.
Never been
together.
unhappy with that choice.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I've ever asked anybody to go back to the drawing board, which is.
And I pretty much treat that situation with any professional where I can't do your job. So when I have an electrician working for me, he's like, well, what do you think? I'm like, honestly, you got to just tell me what you think's best, because this is not what I do. I pay people to do the things I can't do. I'm not going to mess around. You got to just let the pros do their job.
Absolutely. That's another great delegate, man. Delegate some of that stuff out, and it saves you so much time when
there's nothing worse than like trying to pretend like you know if you don't, and then you just fuck it up, and like you make it way worse.
Yeah, I tried to run this podcast for about 3 weeks.
And you're like, I need help.
And I'm like, Irvin, I need help. So
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's like, and you're like, what am I even trying to do here? This is so far out of my wheelhouse, so I'm trying to learn a new
double
skill.
or triple down on your strengths.
Yes.
Because sometimes some of those other things, like, not worth working on. Like, I'd rather just really invest hard in what I'm good at, and like, I don't want to learn how to be a carpenter and build stuff. I'm just gonna pay that guy to do that because like that's outside my wheelhouse. I'm good.
That's good. I think that's a great way to
a lot of food trading, man. I love trading. So
trading, okay.
Like, hey, do you want to come and paint some stuff? Like, hey, come by, give me a quote. I'll give you a slice of pizza if you come by quicker. It's whatever. Food.
I love bartering.
Food's a love
here
language,
too.
Man. Like, you just feed people. That's all we do.
I love bartering here with small businesses. I think it's like a great thing that we can all do to support each other. It's like, hey, like, we got the butcher, we got the you do these things each other. Gets great people in your business, gets great people promoting your business without advertising, and it's just, and you know what? We don't have to pay the tax man when we barter, right? It's a great deal.
Can't say that too loud.
It's a great deal. I think that's legal. They'll probably try to take it away from
Careful.
me. Careful. Yeah, let's not get into that mother effer. But that's the one conversation we try to avoid on here. Is my love for the person that runs this country. But
yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, man, thanks for coming on today.
Of course.
It's awesome to sit down. This is our real first conversation. The best part of the podcast is that we're like dialed in. There's no phones. There's nobody bugging us to run our businesses except for talking. So thanks for coming in today.
Don't worry, I'm sure my phone's got a bunch of messages on it.
I'm sure it does. I'm gonna bring my boys by to see you too, and they want my little guy will want a tour of the kitchen for sure.
We'll dial you in
for sure. That'd be amazing. So thanks guys for listening today. As always, this podcast is sponsored by. I got the hoodie on right now. 10,000 clothing gear. Go use code Tango15, and if you're looking for some sups, I took my Focus before this episode, before I washed it out with a beer, and you go to HQ Nutrition, use that very same code there. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
Now's the time to do more and be more.